Will a syringe-only bleed fully work on a Shimano SLX? Well, we're about to find out. Hey folks, we're back again with another video, and today we're going to be bleeding Shimano M7100 SLX brakes. This is a good brake, very popular brake, great brake for the money, but just like all brakes, they need to be fully bled in order for them to work at their best. I'm going to break this into two videos. This video is going to be based off bleeding the brakes using only syringes, syringe at the caliper and a syringe at the lever. Typically, Shimano wants you to use a syringe at the caliper and a reservoir at the lever. We tried this with a Dior brake a few months back. It did work, it bled it great, but there was a limitation with the syringe on the lever side. If you applied pressure, it would come out, the oil would come out of the cap. We do not have a cap over here. This is all one mechanism, so my assumption is that this should work just fine. We will find out. The next video is going to be a traditional bleed with my little tweaks in it, using a syringe and a reservoir, because let's face it, the vast majority of you, that's what you're going to have, if not 99.9% of you are going to have that, right? For Shimano brakes, at least to bleed them. My preference is bleeding with syringes on both sides. I feel like I have more control on the system, ultimately allowing me to get a better bleed quicker is all it is, right? But again, we will find out in this video if this truly is a feasible process for Shimano SLX. So with that being said, let's get into the tools and parts needed for the job. As for tools, let's start off with the caliper side. 3mm Allen to remove the brake pad bolt. Tire lever to push the pistons in and out. We're going to thoroughly clean the caliper. Alcohol paper towel, stiff brush comes in handy. I might need CLR with Q-tips. We do have hard water over here, and they spray our dirt roads with calcium chloride. I have no idea what the state is of these brakes, so I might need that, maybe not. Now here's a tool that I highly recommend. It's a syringe holder from Park Tools. They sell it by itself or on its own. Only a few bucks, truly a third hand. Love that tool. On the lever side, 4mm Allen to move the lever to make sure the bleed hole is at the highest point. 2mm Allen to remove the bleed screw from the lever. We're doing a syringe only bleed. We need 2 syringes. This is a standard Shimano setup, syringe with just a tube. What you can do is buy one of these, basically secure the connection to the caliper side, right? It's just a little tool. Again, Park Tools sells this individually if you want. On the lever side, a SRAM adapter works just fine. Ultimately, make sure that you do not mix dot fluid with mineral oil, okay? Clean it thoroughly if you've already used this with dot fluid. Do not mix the two at all. This has only been used with mineral oil. Rubber band for a test, 7mm Allen in order to, or Allen, 7mm wrench in order to open and close the bleed hole. And mineral oil. I stick with Shimano, so you can use what you want. And that's pretty much it, folks. Let's start working on this brake. We're going to start with caliper. First thing we need to remove is the pads. We're going to take this clip, holding the pad bolt, put it on the side, grab our 3mm Allen, unscrew the pad bolt, remove it, put it on the side for now. Then we're going to squeeze our pads. We're going to pull them out. Be careful here. These are directional. There is a left side. There is a right side with the finned pads, right? We're going to inspect them, and these are brand new. Make sure you do not get any oil on them. Put them in a safe place for now. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our handle and lightly press it to try and get the pistons out and see how they move. So right now, one of them is not moving well. The other 3 are moving good. Let's press all 3 in, or all 4 in. And let's press the handle again. So we're getting even pressure on 3. We're not getting good pressure on this 4th one on the top right. So what I'm going to do is basically block, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to block 2 of them. Yep. So I'm not getting even pressure out of this one over here. That tells me this one might be somewhat stuck. It might be dirty. There might be debris on the edge that is sort of hindering it from coming out as evenly as the other ones. So what I'm going to do first is, let's see if, maybe I could do it this side, you could see it better. Maybe not, it's going to be harder for me to be honest, I can't get in there. So I'm going to push back or hold back on this top left one first as I squeeze the handle, right, to see if it comes out with force, and yes, it's coming out. As you can see, it's coming out significantly quicker when I hold this one back. So that's a good sign actually. But what we want to do is try and expose all of them about 2 to 3 millimeters, right? That might be a little challenging with 4-piston calipers. We'll do our best. Just keep on pressing that handle, okay? And that's pretty good there, actually. Now they're all coming out relatively even if you take a look at it, right? So we are doing good. That tells me this did have debris on the walls. So let's try and take that one out a little bit more than the other ones. All right, by holding down this one again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take alcohol and a brush. Start scrubbing down the walls, the side walls, right? These walls. I don't care about the flat piston part. I just want to clean the walls of any kind of buildup that might be on it. Okay. And I don't think I'm going to need the CLR on this one, to be honest. Grab paper towel, bring it through. Scrub those walls. Okay, let's press our handle again, or lever I should say. Let's push them all back. Let's see what happens now. Push that one back, push this one back. Yeah, take a look at that. Now they're coming out relatively even, literally even, right? So we are doing much better. So next step, we're gonna grab our bleed block. We're gonna grab our screw. We're gonna put our bleed block in. Okay, let's screw this down, 3 millimeter, right in the middle, and we are set with the bleed block. Then we're going to take our bleed port, we're going to take the cover off of it, right? Grab the cover, turn it around and grab it from the base down here and pull it out evenly. Don't just pull this top cap part, you might tear it in half, and put it on the side. Next, I'm going to grab my syringe holder. And we're going to put it on the fork body. Since this is the bleed ports at the bottom, we got to come around and up. And we are pretty much set with the caliper. Now let's prep the lever. The first thing we're going to do to the lever is press on it to make sure that the bleed block is nice and tightly snug on the pads, okay? Then we are going to grab a marker of some sort because we want to lift the lever up so the bleed port is at the highest point, right? But you want to be able to put it back to where it was before. I usually have a yellow marker. I can't find it. Hopefully this black marker will work. Try and mark a line on the handlebar and the side of the lever. Just make a mark. In fact, I'm going to do it on both sides just in case. All right, and this way you can align it back to where it was before. Now that I made my marks, I'm going to grab a 4 millimeter Allen in this case and loosen it, right? And then we are going to move it up to the bleed port is at the highest point right there, and then we're going to tighten it a little bit back down again. Done. Next, what we can do, even though I don't think it's going to make a difference for an SLX, I could be wrong on the handle, I honestly don't remember, but ultimately we're going to measure the distance between this part of the handlebar and the tip. Right? So this is 70 millimeters on the money. Why? Because then I'm going to take the adjuster over here and bring out the lever as far as I can. I'm going to put it back later, right? So turn it counterclockwise. Oh, this one's all the way out already. So this is as far out as it goes, so I don't have to worry about it. Oh well, one less thing. Next, we're going to prep the syringe. So I'm going to take the lever syringe and I'm going to fill it up. I'm a big believer in draining the system first, removing the old oil from the caliper side, right? So we're gonna fill this up. First, put a little bit in there, just a little bit. Okay, and then suck it all down. And then put it vertical, make sure all the air is on top, and then push up. And get all that air out of there. Make sure all the air goes into the tube, just like that, right? So it's all in the tube. Then we could push out in here, put it in again, and now we could fill it up. I'm doing the front brake. I'm gonna fill it up about, well, actually I'm gonna do about 3/4. Why not? Okay. Now we know this is full of air. Now on the caliper side, we're gonna do something similar, but we're not gonna put much. We're just gonna put a little bit. So make sure the the plunger's all the way down. Suck up a little bit, right? Just like that. Now, people comment that this is just a waste of oil. It's actually not. What I'm doing over here is trying to get good suction, good vacuum. I want to be able to both push and vacuum out all the old dirty oil, right? And we're going to bring this to the top just like that. And our syringes are ready to be inserted. Next, we're going to grab our 2mm Allen and we are going to remove the bleed screw from the lever body. Now, when the screw comes out, make sure you take out the O-ring underneath it. Sometimes it'll stay on its own and only the screw will come out. So make sure you take that out. Next, we're going to take our prepped syringe, right? Squeeze it to make sure a little bit of oil comes out. We want as little air in there as possible. Put a little bit of oil to remove any air at the top. So just put a couple of drops until it fills up. I don't know if you can see that well, right? So now it's filled, and then we are going to put it in. This creates no oil bubbles. Again, we want to try and bleed and drain out from the bottom all the old oil. We're back at the caliper. We have our syringe. Again, remove any air that's in there. Then we are going to plug it into, well, some air in there, but it's okay. I'm not too worried about that. Plug it into our bleed screw or bleed port. This is the protective cap. And we're going to take it and we're going to mount it just like that. Make sure everything's sitting nice and snug. Grab our 7mm, open the port counterclockwise by about a quarter turn. Actually, I'm going the wrong way. Looking at it backwards, it's upside down. There we go. All right, just like that. And we're ready to bleed. For the bleed, the first thing we're gonna do is empty out the system into the caliper syringe. So what we're gonna do is lift the caliper syringe and slowly let the oil come out. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. Well, let me see if I could do it the other way around. I don't know what this looks like. I'm so contorted right now. All right, so let's lift it. Oops, I'm going the wrong way over here. Actually, there was air bubbles in here. See, let's get the air bubbles out of the top of the system. Cool, done, out. It's so much harder doing this on camera. So again, we are going to empty out the body by sucking out all that old crap into the bottom cylinder, or syringe, I should say. All right, fill it up good. Right now, we pretty much replaced everything in there. And that should be more than good enough. So let's leave everything. Now what I'm going to do is close the bottom port. Actually, wrong way. Again, it's upside down. So we'll turn it clockwise. Then I'm going to remove the syringe. And I'm going to empty out the old oil. And then I'm going to fill up this syringe halfway with new oil. And we will finish bleeding the system. So I emptied out the old oil from the syringe, filled it up halfway with new oil, plugged it back into the bleed port, and then I'm gonna take my wrench and again, counterclockwise, quarter turn, just like that. And we are ready to finish this bleed in order to make sure that we are all good. To finish the bleed, what we're gonna do now is push upwards into the syringe. Before we do that, let's make sure that there's no air bubble at the bottom, so pull up this bottom caliper syringe like I'm doing, all right? And we don't see any, well, actually there's an air bubble right there coming up, right? So we wanna make sure we get that air bubble up. All right, that's looking pretty good. So now we are gonna, first let's start by pushing down the bottom syringe. We're going to push this one down, bring oil to the top. Now this is the beauty about dual syringes, folks. We don't have to stop there. If we had a reservoir, we're pretty much done, right? So there's a little air bubble coming up, right? We can now vacuum up. You get all those little micro bubbles. So just vacuum, pulse vacuum, right? So what I'm doing is I'm like pulsing the syringe. And it helps agitate the entire system just like that, right? So now, still got a couple little bit more micro bubbles coming up. All right, there goes the last one. So now we're gonna press down on the top syringe, fill up the bottom. Okay, and then we could vacuum the bottom. By vacuum, I mean like pulse vacuum. And I see no air bubbles coming in. That's a pretty good sign right there. So let's repeat. All right, pulse push. And then we could pulse vacuum the top one again. There you go, little micro bubble right there. Right? That's the beauty about it. You agitate the system. Now what we can do is grab something rubbery and let's try and smash any bubbles and make them smaller. Hit the whole system, right? Hit the caliper, everything, the cables. The whole idea here is to vibrate it and make large bubbles turn into smaller bubbles so they go through the system easier. Now let's do that as I'm pushing down. All right, again, let's vacuum up that last little bit to make sure we don't have any small bubbles. No small bubbles at all coming out of the caliper side. That's a really good sign. Now let's push down. Pulse push, right? And again, let's vacuum up. Slow pulse vacuums. Don't push real hard and don't vacuum real hard. We're just doing little pulses here. Folks, we're bled. This thing is, oop, there goes one. See, I jumped the gun. There was one little micro bubble in there. Okay. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's tightened down. Cool. So let's go back down and basically just repeat until you feel comfortable that there's absolutely nothing in the system. Now, what we can do is also, so we don't have to use the rubber band, flick the lever back and forth to create movement and see if we could vacuum out any air bubbles. We're looking real good, folks. We're done. Oh, that's not good. That would help if I screwed that down. Good. Let's go down and let's try that one more time. Let's vacuum, pulse vacuum upwards. Hit the lever. Whoop. There you go. Boom. Right, there's a little micro bubble making its way up right there. Let's give it a, there we go. Make sure it's in, there it goes on the inside. Let's push down again. Let's force it up, I should say. Push down on the caliper. Ah, this thing's breaking on me. It's okay, I got more syringes. Yeah, this thing's probably breaking on me. Great. What a perfect time to break. Not that it matters, but all right, get in there. There we go. Okay, and we're good. I am more than confident that we are fully bled. Close this up. We're gonna grab our wrench, close our bleed port clockwise, make sure it's nice and tight. Now what I did before that, actually, I sort of emptied out the bottom syringe into the top syringe because, well, I'm gonna take this to the back brake when I'm done, right? We're not gonna do it in this video, but I'm gonna do it right after. So I might as well just start scratch from here, just saves me a step. So now what I can do is disconnect this syringe. On the lever side, we're gonna disconnect the lever, right? Make sure that the O-ring comes out with it. Now we make sure we put a couple of drops of oil so it's overfilled. And then we grab our bleed screw, make sure the O-ring's on the screw. We put it in, we screw it down. hand tight. Grab alcohol and a paper towel, clean any excess mineral oil. Then we grab our 4mm again, loosen the clamp, and bring the lever down. Oh, loosen a little bit more. All right. Bring the lever down to its marks. Hard to see what the, oh, there it is, I see it. And let's tighten this back up again. I do these 4 Newton meters. I'll grab the torque wrench later. You can do it by hand if you want, but I'm going to grab with the torque wrench. Our lever is basically done. Let's finish up the caliper. The audio didn't come through in the next couple of clips, so I'm going to voice over it. So as you can see, I'm removing the bolt to remove the bleed block. 3mm Allen for the bolt again. Let's remove the bleed block, put the bolt on the side for now, spray down the caliper with alcohol, clean it best you can, remove all the mineral oil that might have leaked out in some way or form. And then you're going to spray alcohol on your hands and clean your hands, well, your gloves if you're losing gloves, real well, and wipe them down real well before we grab our pads. We do not want to take the chance of getting any kind of oil on the pad whatsoever. So grab your pads. Remember, they're directional. There's a left side and a right side for the fin pads. And we are just going to insert them. And then we're going to grab our bolt. We're going to put it in all the way through. And then we're going to grab our 3mm Allen and screw it all down. And then we're going to grab our clip on the other side to secure it. Just put it in. And now we are going to grab our bleed cap. Now be careful putting it in. Make sure you put in the right direction. The thick part faces down, the thin part goes to the base. Be careful with it so you don't damage it or tear it in any which way or form. And now we're going to remove our syringe holder. Some Shimano kits come with this little spacer. It essentially emulates a rotor, so you can test your bleed job to see how the lever feels without having to put the wheel back on the bike. So the way this thing works is it goes, you insert it into the caliper from the bottom. Now, before we insert it, make sure you clean it real well. Spray alcohol and rub it down real good. We do not want any kind of oil residue or any kind of dirt on the pads when you put this thing in, just in case it's dirty, right? So again, make sure you clean it as best as you can before inserting it. So we're going to slide it right in, and basically what we need to do is make sure that this tip over here connects to the bolt at the top holding the pad in place. Very easy, just slip it in. Might take you a couple of seconds to get in the right spot, but it'll click right in. I'm going to pull on the lever and see if it feels spongy, and this thing feels nice and hard with that spacer in there. I have no spongy feeling whatsoever. This is nice. I mean, this thing barely moves. That's the max I can move it. It's locked in there, and that moves what? 1.5 centimeters? Not even a full inch, to be honest. I could probably measure that. So this feels great. And there you have it, folks. We just bled Shimano M7100 SLX brakes using syringes only, and it worked out perfectly. In fact, I could honestly say this is way better than using the syringe with the reservoir. I guarantee you when I do the back brake, it's going to take me less than 5 minutes, and it's going to be perfectly bled. You have way more control, no questions asked. I am going to do a video using the traditional method on the SLX for those of you that already bought the kit and have everything needed to do that in order to ensure that you get the right bleed. But I'm telling you right now how it is possible that I never thought about using a SRAM adapter on a Shimano brake lever. I can't even explain how all these years went by without me testing that. So anyway, it is what it is. Ultimately going forward for these type of brakes, and I'm sure it's going to work just as good for the XT and the XTRs. I will make videos to prove it in the future, but ultimately we know that it works and I have no issues with it whatsoever. So one thing that I will say is do not gravity bleed. If you're a beginner and intermediate especially, do not gravity bleed. It's a total waste of time. I don't care what anybody says. Even if you're an expert, I think it's a total waste of time. To me, gravity bleeding was nothing more than social media clicks. That's it. There's no way to guarantee that you are fully bled with a gravity bleed. I don't care what anybody says. Small bubbles can get trapped in areas and fluid will go under them. There's no way to agitate the system unless you sit there and smack the whole thing like crazy, like you have to do with a gravity bleed while letting oil flow. Total waste of time. I don't care what anybody says. 2 syringes, the way to go. What Shimano needs to do is create a bleeding edge type solution like SRAM has. That would make it, well, it would make it great, just like SRAMs. I think bleeding SRAM brakes, modern SRAM brakes at least, are outstanding. The older ones, obviously, they were a little bit troublesome, no questions asked. All right. So with that being said, folks, if you like this video, please click that like button, click that subscribe button to see more videos, click that bell button, ding, in order to get notified when new videos get released. And more videos like this are coming. If you want to check out a couple of videos out right now, these 2 over there might be of interest. And until the next time, I hope all's well with all of you, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a good one.